and thank you for being there and for I hope discussing with us the Suikoden universe, and especially as you can see the Eiyuden Chronicle announcement. I'm sure you're all aware of it, and let's switch back here. And hi guys, here I am, and I'm not alone. Like I told you, I'm with uh, Magus the share. I didn't ask you if you want to go with your
You
actual
can just
name or your Magus the share is okay.
just go with Magus.
Okay.
It's the written is Magus the Seer, so because Magus is often taken on many platforms and environments, but I'm fine with just Magus.
Well, that's perfect, and thank you for being there. Well,
Well, thank you for the invite.
to let you know, Magus is it was funny how we met, because it was like just a surprise when you recognize each of the fan, and you see, oh, okay, you are also crazy about Suikoden, and it was like going on and on and on, and it was like knowing the trivias, the game in specifics, and that was very funny and a pleasure to meet him, and still have the opportunity to discuss today with him. And hi Murder, thank you for being there, and thank you for the host. Well, we are going to discuss, to start this new Suikocast episode, not with a let's play as we usually do about Suikoden 1. We do a tiny bit after that, but we'll be starting with the news. I'm sure you're all aware, is the announcement of Eiyuden Chronicle. So I think every one of you is already knows what is it, but just to be sure, what is Eiyuden Chronicle? It's a new game made. Which is going to be created by Yoshitaka Murayama and Junko Kawano, which are the two people behind the main game, Suikoden 1, the one who started all. And actually they announced an announcement that they are going to launch a Kickstarter campaign with this kind of spiritual legacy, or even almost sequel of Suikoden. So my first question is to you, Magus, and
Hmm.
after that we will see how the audience reacted to the announcement. How did you react to this
Well,
announcement?
of course, I was surprised and overjoyed because we've all been waiting and hoping for another Suikoden game or something similar
Yeah.
since 2006 and the release of the fifth main game of the series. And so to hear that the dream team was back together again and working on something that is very close to Suikoden was very happy news.
Yeah, I guess so. And tell us, please, in the chat, if you what was your reaction? Were you surprised? Did you have any hope that the sequel would come in this form? I would say, because that was what was mostly surprising. Is it was not an actual sequel, but some kind of spiritual
Hmm.
sequel. So please let us know in the chat. So from what we know, the first thing that comes to mind when you see the logo is just like, okay, what can we can see first is like there are going to be 100 heroes. I'm sorry, I'm hiding that in the stream, and that's actually that's a smart move. I guess for two reasons. The main one, of course, is to, I guess, to avoid any kind of problem with Konami, because for the one discovering actually the Suikoden series is coming from it's a game made by Konami, developed and edited by Konami, and actually I think it's I made some kind of comment on a tweet from Suikoden Indonesia, which is a great community from the fans in Indonesia, and I told them that it was also wise because of the number. 100 is like some I don't know if the English word is correct when if I say a round number, like just 100. And I don't know what your thoughts are about this, the fact of having 100 heroes actually.
Well, it's similar enough that we can recognize the similarities with Suikoden without necessarily being a direct adaptation from the original source material that had this idea of 108. So they can avoid copyright issues while still paying homage to the original series. So I think it's a smart move and a smart decision to go with that. And it also obviously means that there's a lot of recruitable heroes, and if they are just as fleshed out as the characters in the Suikoden series, then we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And actually, I think there is another reason. I don't think they are going to go public. I'm sorry, I'm switching to my avatar because I don't want to have any trouble with the cam in here, and here I am just next to Magus. So actually, it's also I would say not smart, but maybe wise, because Yoshitaka Murayama, which is the creator of the Suikoden series, he worked actually on the first and second episode. Thank you. And words are that he left during the start and the development of Suikoden 3, so he was not on the whole story plot and game system. But what I like about Yoshitaka Murayama is that he seems very humble and also intelligent, in the sense that he is like, I'm moving forward. It's like okay, Konami don't want to make any sequel for the time being of Suikoden. Let's move forward and offer something new, and also something familiar to the fans. And is not totally excluding the fact of working on Suikoden if there happen to be a sequel. So I think it's a winner on
it's
all
it's a
levels.
win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a win-win situation.
I'm about to read the press release. I don't know if everyone took the time to check all the information, but that's also the goal of this live. It can seem a little bit boring, but I think it's also interesting from what we can find of information. Actually, that's the work of journalists in general, to find some hidden infos. And actually, so this game is not coming from nowhere. I think you already figured that. It came from a studios called Rabbit and Bear, which were founded by Yoshitaka Murayama himself, and he founded the studios on March 26, 2020, so it was very close from us. And it actually, his question, and I quote him, Rabbit and Bear Studios asks the age-old question, what do gamers really want? And he's actually answering to the question himself, to say it's something we must never forget as creators, to continually focus on giving the fans the experience they really want. And on this side, I think it's being very honest, because of course he knows that there is a huge community, but it's not like popping after 10 15 years on so and saying hi, I'm Murayama, you know, the guys who made the Suikoden. He was actually interacting with his fans for a long time now,
Yes.
accepting interviews, etc., and answering as much as he could, because we actually know that it's a delicate position, you know, to answers to questions such as what about Suikoden, but you know, to have to answer at each time. It's not I'm not the one deciding. It's Konami, and being polite at the same time, etc., etc. So
Yes, he's not expecting people to be there and welcome his game or his product just because of his name or what he did in the past.
exactly, and that's what I like about how he's doing, and I can't stress enough that he's not alone. Of course, in this game, we are going to let you know a little bit more about the team. But first of all, the press release went public on July 21st. It was 5 days ago already for me. It was such a roller coaster because I was in the confidence, and I couldn't share the news even with my close friends. So it was like a torture for me to not let them know about it. And it goes like I'm not going to read the entire one, but is telling us that. They are going to launch a Kickstarter on July 27th, so it's going to be tomorrow, about a game called Eiyuden Chronicle. So that's the main information, that the game is about to be kickstarted, so with a campaign, and that's the only, I would say, bad side of the announcement from now. So I would like to know, and I think that's a question that everyone is asking right now. Do you think they are going to entirely fund the campaign?
So, are you asking if
The Kickstarter? Do you
the
think they are
funding?
do you think they are going to actually fulfill the Kickstarter campaign objectively?
I really hope they reach their thresholds and their goal. Now I'm familiar enough with the whole crowdfunding system
Yeah.
to understand that just because they ask for money on Kickstarter doesn't mean 100% of the funding comes from there.
Of course.
And especially for games with a lot of ambition, it's only part of what they need to develop the game. And of course, being a fan, I really want them to succeed, and I hope they reach their goal. But it's going to be a way to test the waters, to see how much the community is there and present and wanting for a game. And we'll probably have a better visibility in 3 days.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's the big tell. It's the initial reaction that the fans will have if they participate, if they give positive feedback or not. Just like when a video game is actually released, you can see a majority of the sales that happen in the first 2 weeks. And it's a bit of the same with Kickstarter. It happens really fast, and if there is a positive momentum in the beginning, then it's going to encourage people to participate more, just like in a restaurant, the empty restaurant phenomenon. If you see an empty restaurant, you don't necessarily want to come in and eat, but if you already see a couple of other customers, then you're more likely to join. And I hope that that works that way with their campaign.
I totally agree with you, especially the fact of testing the water, which is to make a lame pun, which is funny coming from a game inspired by the water margin. But all jokes aside, I agree, because on what I didn't say is that on 27th they're actually about to publish a trailer, because for now we only have a small teaser, which is I think 45 seconds, 1 minute long, and it's actually doing the job to speak per se, but we speak about that later. So we speaking of the team, and we have I already was told you about Yoshitaka Murayama and Junko Kawano. I don't know how familiar were you with these two guys. So Yoshitaka Murayama was the guy actually behind the idea, the concept of
Hmm.
Genso Suikoden. He created it from scratch, and Junko Kawano was the character designer on the first episode, and next she were also director and producer on the fourth episode. So how familiar were you with these two people?
I will be totally honest, not very well.
Okay.
I tend to do a little bit of research every now and then on developers and professionals in the video game industry, but the people from Konami are maybe a bit less, how would I say, visible, exposed, or famous than
Mm,
the teams from, I don't know, the Final Fantasy
yeah.
franchise, for instance. They get a little bit less exposition. So
Mm,
I must admit that I recognize the name for sure, but um, barring that, I can't say that I knew a lot about their career and their involvement on the franchise as a whole.
okay. Okay. So to just had a few information about that. Murayama was still kind of active, especially in a studio called Blue Moon Studios before founding the Rabbit and Bear we were speaking about, which is going to, we hope so, give us the Eiyuden Chronicles games. And
Hmm.
actually, that's funny because I think as a fan and everyone in the chat is seeing the reference with Blue Moon,
Yes,
which is referring to a character called Sierra. It's
Sierra. Yeah.
it's not that easy for me as a French speaker in English, and so yeah, it was also active on this other game. I'm forgetting the name of the latest game he was directing before that. But anyway, I will try to find it a little bit later. So you can see them on screen. So on the left, of course, obviously, is Yoshitaka Murayama and Junko Kawano. What is very interesting, maybe we can switch on the obvious, is that what do you think of Junko Kawano evolution of her Kara design? Because I think you are aware that she were on the first one, which was
Hmm.
very some kind of mix between mangas characters and some kind of D&D and fantasy illustrations.
Yeah.
And she then had a huge and noticeable evolution on the fourth episodes, and then that. So when I say that, I will give you so the illustration right there. So many ones, so you can see how much she was evolving. So what do you think about her heart now, comparing to the first one on Suikoden 1?
Well, I loved the first one because it was very clean. The art design is very clean and it had a lot of flavor. But you can see the improvements in the talent, in the definition, in the details, and so it's very much distinctive of her style, so it's recognizable. The forms, the shapes, the characters, but you can also see the improvement
Mm,
and the character with the two batons on the left. He seems to be a mix of several of the main characters from the series, and
exactly.
I can really appreciate that. and especially after the character design from the fourth episode, which was less well received by the fans. I'm not talking about the art design, but more like the character models, which were less inspired. And I guess maybe it was the passage to a new platform, which wasn't as well mastered. But clearly there's been a big improvement, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's very well summed up. So what I actually like is how she. I actually asked her a question. I know I've been asked a lot because I was lucky enough to get an interview, a 1 hour interview of her and Murayama, and it's going to be published. Rest assured, for the people on the stream that is going to be published. I'm looking for the place with the wider audience to really let knows people about growing the community and give us the biggest hope for the game, and actually maybe to make to let people discover at the same time the Suikoden series. Maybe that's the hope, and but it's going to be published even if I don't find any website who agree to do so. I will publish it in the days to come. Don't worry. And so yeah, I was actually asking her a question about the frame that she was using, especially in this illustration that we can see right now on the live. And that's funny because I don't know if you are familiar with the kind of Art Nouveau or New Art, the what they call Rococo and Art Deco, decorative arts. And she actually told me that it wasn't a main inspiration, but she liked artists such as Musha, for example, and so that's not surprising considering how a frame evolved, and how you can see, on the upper side of the illustration some kind of jewel, maybe some kind of emerald, like very very decorative stuff, and even the center is looking like some kind of metal. It's I think that's very rich and interesting.
It looks like a medal, but also some sort of technological device, like a mechanical gear or something. So it might suggest that maybe not a steampunk type of environment, but something where they have a little bit of technology. Clearly not completely medieval in nature.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't see that, but totally agree. So what we have next is the other part of the staff. Sorry. So they are describing actually their project to be that's the obvious part, JRPG genre. So Japanese RPG genre from the PlayStation era, actually helped by a Kickstarter campaign, and it's one of the first information on the technical, I would say technical shit on the game, is that it's going to be in 2D, and to be more specifics in 2.5D graphics, so pixel based. What do you think of this move? I would say, is it bold? Is it pleasing you? Is it what do you think of the fact of having, it's not actually 2D, it's not 3D, it's just in the middle? What do you think of this choice from the team?
Well, I think it's a smart move from a resource point of view. They don't seem to be like a big studio with a lot of resources, and so they want to aim for something that is achievable, that is easier to manage for a small team with limited resources. And it's both a callback to the golden age of Japanese RPGs, which were in 2D or isometric 3D, but also with a modern touch. And I think that's the best kind of summary or description to what they are going for. It is something that pays respect and homage to the older games, the successful times, and but also adapted to what gamers want now, because it's very rare to go for full 2D anymore.
And actually, I really think if my actually use is correct, because I'm learning every day with the with my English. I think that it's also interesting. I find them very lucky because people were speaking about the inspiration. I am about to give you in the stream some visuals so you can judge by yourself. But for example, we have this one here, this illustration, and I was describing it as some kind of mix between the first one is very obvious. Everyone was thinking about it. It's to me it's a mix between the game Octopath Traveler, which was released on the Nintendo Switch, and at the same time, it's reminding me of the Vanillaware games, which are very successful in their RPGs and action RPGs game, such as
Odin Sphere.
Exactly, thank you, Dragon's Crown, and etc. And yeah, it's very when I say they are lucky, is because this kind of compromise between 2D and 3D, and but being at the same time visually beautiful and flawed is pretty good. And I think it's always a question of timing, because I'm also thinking of the huge success of Dragon Ball Fighter Z, where I think that it's been like 3 or 4 years with a lot of games using 2D and especially 2.5D visuals, and I think that they are very lucky that they made the announcement, and they had I really think they already had this kind of vision in mind, to be honest. Maybe not, but I really think they were thinking at least of 2D and maybe on 2.5D. So I think the timing is perfect on this side. I don't know what you think about it.
Yes, it's the right timing, exactly. They seize the opportunity. It's what people are looking for, and it's also the standards of the industry. They are moving along with what other successful game developers are, and it would be foolish to go against the flow. I mean, if you look at the games that you mentioned, such as Octopath Traveler, which was a clear also call back to old style Japanese RPGs, and it was quite successful, and it's a smart move to go for what the audience is looking for.
So we have pretty, I would say, pretty reassuring stuff and infos. We're speaking about the genre, the graphic styles. So it would be also very classical RPG, in the sense that it is going to be turn-based RPG, which is maybe that's the the feature I'm the most worried about. To get the turn-based RPG like classic ones is something that maybe I'm wrong. I know that there is a big fan base, but for the people, maybe younger people, or people who were never fans of turn-based games, I think that's pretty bold, but at the same time, I think that's cool that they are assuming the fact that they really want this kind of dynamics. I don't know if you think that this choice is wise or not.
Well, there's turn-based and then there's turn-based. I mean, we don't have that many details yet, so we have the general philosophy of what they're going for. But a good example of the evolution of the market is the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
The original game was Square's original ATB system, which was partly turn-based, and Bravely Default and other games have
Yes.
adapted and evolved on that principle. And this time with the remake, they went for something a bit more action-paced. And there are people that enjoy that and people who don't enjoy it as much. And I agree with your analysis that if we look at people who aren't necessarily long-time fans of Japanese RPGs, then they might not be that interested by a full turn-based system. So it's a dangerous path to tread in that sense, and I guess we'll learn a bit more once we have more information on that subject. But yes, on a personal basis, I'm very happy about this approach. But as I said, there are still a lot of potential and a lot of different directions they can go after, even after they decided to go with a turn-based system.
And which leads me to thank you, Joy Karma, for the follow. Thank you. I hope you will discuss with us about what you think of this new announcement of Eiyuden Chronicle. Please give us your thoughts about it. We were actually discussing of how the staff of Rabbit and Bear, the team of Murayama and Kawano-san are about to attract the audience to fulfill their Kickstarter campaign. And which leads me to another question. How do you think this kind of game can attract people who are not aware of the Suikoden series, not that crazy about RPGs? How do you think it could get some appeal to this audience, or do you think it won't at all?
I think the potential lies in the references. Like the original Suikoden was based upon the water margin, so maybe you can attract a new audience by talking about similarities like that. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily an option for Eiyuden because it's not based on the water margin. But yeah. I don't know. It depends on how the trailer or the teaser is made and where they communicate on it. Now it's all about getting the game out there. You have to first make sure that you can reach a sizable audience, and that's the big thing, as opposed to back in the 90s where you had a dedicated platform, which was the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation or whatever console, and you had a limited competition in the number of games. And today, if you look at Steam, if you look at the Switch, there's hundreds and hundreds of games released almost every day, and it's very difficult to get your spotlight. And so that's the first step. I mean, in terms of the development of the game, of course, you have to get the game right, but the first difficulty you'll get is reaching out to the audience. So I guess it starts with a campaign, a promotional campaign. It depends on where they'll communicate, and maybe where influencers such as yourself will come into play as well. You can participate in the future success of the game whenever you and I talk about it. So yeah, that would be my first answer. Now, in terms of how do we make sure we can reach out to a new audience in terms of the game design? Well, it's learning from the success of other games, seeing what works, and in terms of other RPGs, and innovating a little bit, getting a new formula that's successful. But because that's the first, the main thing, you have to have something that's fun to play. If it isn't, people will have a look and say, yeah, that's not for me. It's not the kind of thing I'll enjoy, and they'll give up or they won't buy it.
Mm. Yeah, you were mentioning the fact that Genso Suikoden was clearly inspired by Chinese tales and
Hmm.
very famous ones. Water Margin. Hi, Tony Q. Excited, yeah, yeah. So, so there are a lot of them actually. I'm sure you're aware of that. But please share what are your thoughts about this Eiyuden Chronicle announcement, please, and spread the words as much as you can. Yeah, I was telling you, sorry, Magus, that the fact the Suikoden was inspired by a Chinese tale. Do you think that they didn't say anything about that? But do you think that Eiyuden is about to get any inspiration on maybe cultural side? Because I'm asking you that because I was thinking that today we know that the Chinese market video game wise
Hmm.
is very expanding.
Hmm.
If you have not heard the name Trescent, for example, in this last years, that would be a little bit surprising. But anyway,
Hmm.
so do you think I'm not saying that they are going to force some kind of cultural vision, but do you think it could attract, get maybe this kind of features of a kind of inspiration, cultural wise, I would say?
Yes, I think as you said, the Chinese market is unavoidable in the sense that if you want to go for a growing market and new opportunities, you can't you can't miss
Mi-
them.
mm,
You have to take that market into account, and yeah, I'm sure that they're going to find a way to communicate about something that might resonate with this new market, and still also be interesting for other Western audiences, because yeah, today Japanese RPGs cannot be marketed just for for Japan. Long the days where the Japanese market was sufficient to sustain developers is long gone and past, and
mm,
the Western audience and the Chinese audience and other other regional audiences have taken over,
mm,
and I'm sure that they know what they are doing, and will find a way to appeal to us. As far as I know now, we just have the initial announcement, and they're testing out the waters, as we mentioned a bit
mm,
earlier. So we don't necessarily know much about the content, but
mm,
it's it will probably also depend on what the reception looks like and how they might adapt that
mm,
to the feedback the audience gives them, and what people ask for.
mm. Yeah. So that's interesting because as I am listening to you, I'm also seeing that our friends from Suikoden Revival, which is a great community about Suikoden, had actually made a poll about how much those people are think they are planning to pledge on the Kickstarter, and as we can see, it's all around. It's at least something like $50, and it could goes on above 100. So there is
Hmm.
like less than 7% with no pledge at all, 35% less than 50s, and 33% between 50 and 100, and 24 above $100. So see, if you want to interact in the stream and tell us how much do you plan to pledge on this Kickstarter campaign, please do. Do you have any idea, if that's not too indiscreet, Magus, how much are you planning to put in this campaign?
Well, I guess it will depend on what they offer
Yeah.
us, because um, I would be willing to go between 50 and 100 if the
Uh-huh.
game seems worth it, if the additional content seems interesting, and if I can support them. I know that it's exactly the kind of game that I love and enjoy, so I will have no reservations as to supporting that for a full-priced game, at least. And then it will, my margin of contribution will depend on what they seem to offer.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So let's continue with what the announcement are as for today. So we're speaking of the team. There are also two others veterans in with Murayama and Kawano, which are the system design fellow and direction, which is going to be done by. Komuta-san. Komuta-san, I'm going to give you a visual right here. Where is he? Sorry, there. Komuta-san is he has an interesting background actually, because he was already working on the Suikoden series, but not the one you were thinking too.
Mhm.
He was working on Suikoden Chikris, Suikoden Tactics, and another game where he met with the Kawano san, which is Arca Last. What is interesting in his profile, as I mentioned, is that he actually was not working on a canonics or mythological Suikoden. We know that Suikoden Tactics is some kind of filler of Suikoden 4, so we
Mhm.
can actually say that it's some kind of it belongs to the saga, but it's not as
Sort of a
important.
spin-off.
Exactly, it's more as of a spin-off. So when I'm repeating the fact that it's interesting because maybe he has some kind of side vision,
Hmm.
not getting the full force vision of and vibe of Suikoden series as the hardcore fans are actually asking for, and maybe that could be very interesting considering the what I was telling you earlier, the fact how
Yeah,
can you attract to an
exactly.
audience not who doesn't know anything about
Mhm.
Suikoden, and
Ex- Exactly. I agree with what you're saying. You need They cannot rely just on the fans of the original series, because that might be too small an audience. People that love those games have moved on, and they don't necessarily play only that.
mm,
And if they want to attract a new audience, they have to bring in something new, and definitely someone with a bit more perspective and who has worked on different series and games with a different approach can bring in that new spark of creativity or
yeah.
innovation that might make the game successful.
Mm. And to let people know, maybe we are not judging, but maybe you weren't in the hype train for Suikoden Chris, considering it's not a game from the saga, but it was actually pretty successful sales wise, and also pretty well received, critically received from the audience and from the press and video game websites. So it's a very good addition
Hmm.
to get Komota-san in their roster, I would say, in their
Yeah.
team.
Hmm.
So yeah, his whole name, sorry, is Osamu Komuta. And then we have a last one, which is Junichi Murakami, and here it is, Junichi Murakami, right there. Murakami Junichi here. What about him? Would you tell me? So Junichi Murakami was working, and this one is even more surprising on not on Suikoden games actually, but on Castlevania episode called Area of Sorrow, and another game not very well known, but I know that the fans really appreciate it. It's a game released on PS2. I don't know if you played it, Magus. It's called Oz, like the Wizard of Oz, and it was some kind of action RPG esque game with three characters that you where you can do some kind of combos and juggling with your foes and enemies. So what do you think of his him being present in the team, actually working on art direction and production, but with no kind
Ties to the
background? Yeah,
original.
ties, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting that it's still someone who has experience with Konami, so the publisher and editor of the Suikoden games. So that's might have been where they met each other and have interacted with. I played the Castlevania Area of Sorrow episode, but not the Oz one that you mentioned. So again, I think it's a good opportunity to bring a little bit of a different perspective and experience, but with a similar philosophy or approach. So it deals with a very delicate issue in the video game industry, where if you keep repeating the same recipe, just like in the movie industry, people get fed up, and the fans keep asking for more of the same. But if you give them just the same all the time, then they grow bored with it and they move on to something else. So you need to keep reintroducing and innovating and adding new elements. And it's even more so true in video games, because it's things that we actually play as opposed to watch. So I think that's an interesting decision to have him join the team from the production perspective and also from game design perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And one last word about him. You mentioned the Castlevania Area of Sorrow episode, and was also mentioning Oz, not just to brag, but because it was some kind of very nervous game, which could lead us to some of the visuals that you can find here and there in the press release. And that's very interesting because I'm just going about to show you. So here it is. Here, yeah. So there's actually two things very interesting in the first screenshot we have been able to see, considering what I mentioned about Murakami, which is they seem very dynamic, and I think it's not they didn't pick him randomly. I really think that they want to get some kind of nervous games with very active battles. We were mentioning the classicals, turn-based games, and I really think that's a smart move, asking him to join the team, because with this kind of visuals and 2.4D visuals, I think it would be, sorry if the word is harsh, but it would be almost a suicide to get some kind of a boring and very slow paced kind of RPG. So what can we see from the screenshots? This one is very interesting, because it's it's like bam, we can see that on the one just before that, you see them from the distance, and you actually are telling yourself, okay, they are doing a lot of
An ambush.
an ambush, and they are doing a lot of movements, and probably pretty fast movement to reach the enemies and strike them with this kind of visual that you can see here. And it's a if you are a fan of Suikoden, you're not that surprised because I really think, and it's not just being a fan, that the choice of the camera at the time on Suikoden 1, if we have some time tonight, if we can play a little bit of the let's play we were planning with Magus, you can see, or you can check also remember all of the episodes on the Suikocast. Actually, if you want, you can find us here. Just a reminder, and you have all the back episodes of the Suikocast on the YouTube channel. But to come back to what we were discussing, is that it's going to, you know, to get impact, to get velocity, to get not some kind of sleepy RPG. And
it's very dynamic. The camera zoom to accentuate on a critical hit or something like that gives a lot of the dynamism to the gameplay or to the visuals, even if the mechanics were kind of static in the original Suikodens, but the use of the camera for that gave a lot of movement and dynamism to the action. Thanks to that.
And I think it's not that new. That's why I was mentioning Suikoden 1. You were mentioning the camera and the critical hits. We already had that since the first episode. We already had this kind of, I would say, boldly camera type, you know, like it's not straight one, it's not horizontal or vertical, but more working on the diagonals, and it was pretty surprising at the time, with a little bit of effect of a 2.5D already at the time. So that's where I really believe them when they say it's a true tribute. It's not just for the press release. They're really coming back to what they made at the time, but they're not just doing that like, oh, okay, here is your candy, is your high candy for dear Suikoden fan, but they're doing it very wisely, you know, choosing. We can see some use of magic also, and we know that what we can do with the 2D and the 2.5D magic is going to be very interesting. If we already remember of Suikoden 2, 3, 4, and 5, it was really interesting at the time, but now I think it could be a very, very interesting and very very fast-paced kind of RPG. I don't know if you had any words you want to add about that.
No, not necessarily. I completely agree with what you were saying, and I'm very excited.
And thank you, Game the One. We were totally excited. We can't wait for the Kickstarter tomorrow, at least to see what they are cooking, and what we can and how we can help. And not Kasim is here. Yeah, 6 characters. That's true. Thank you, thanks a lot, not Kasim, because I wasn't stating the obvious. They are taking back a feature which was actually, there were, I would say, 3 signature moves from the Suikoden series. If Magus is not agreeing or finds some more, he will correct me. Actually, which is what not Kasim just told us, which is 6 characters during the battle. The 108, now 100 for Eiyuden, whole cast of characters, and the third one would be the castle. We'll be coming back to that, your headquarters in the shape of a castle where you can gather all of the soldiers you recruited. So that's very interesting to get back to that.
sorry.
No,
And there is a fourth one we can add to that. For me, it was the different types of battles, like the duels and the
yes,
strategic battles. That would be a fourth
yes,
level, but I agree with your
yes,
three main signatures
yes.
of the Suikoden series, and at least we have confirmation of two of them that are being present in this Eiyuden game. We already have the high number of characters to recruit and the 6 characters for the battle. So they're checking the boxes all right, and
Yeah.
that's very positive.
That's why I'm glad I invited Magus, because we are doing unite attacks, even if I'm too lame to finish the enemy is there to complete what I had to say. And here is another to say on the visual. Here is another interesting visual. On this one, we clearly can see that they are coming back to the roots of the water margin. The fact that some of the action is going to take place in water environments, close to some kind of Chinese architecture. Even on the right side of the screen, you can see some character with some kind of traditional hairdress, Chinese hairdress, and even a robe pretty close to it. I totally agree. To told Tony, it looks amazing. It's just my opinion, of course, but not everyone is sensitive to this kind of visual. But I really like it, and it's funny how it's a time for the what it reminds you vibe. To me, it's very close from the city of Radat in Suikoden 2. There is also Two River, which looks the same, but at the same time, you can also find inspiration from Suikoden 5, which was with the architecture which were with more spaces, like this one with with bridges, and with one more profound architecture. I don't know if it does that inspire or ring your fan bell as a Suikoden fan,
Hmm.
Magus. Do you
Yeah,
find
yeah,
any other visual you're
yes,
familiar with?
yeah, very much. As you said, Radat, but also I don't remember which episode it might have been. I think it also the fourth one, where you have a strategic battle over a
Yes,
river with the admiral. I don't exactly remember where that
with the
happened, but yeah, it kind of reminds me of this. And also, surprisingly enough, this scene with the bridge, it also reminds me a little bit of Assassin's Creed 2, with the scene of the trailer where the main character Ezio fights off a band of thugs on a bridge that's very similar to this one, even though I know it has almost nothing to do with that, but it just reminded me of that particular scene and context.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that. And there is another very interesting one. I don't know how it's going to be implemented, used in the final game. Which, if you are there from the start of this live stream, you already seen. It's a very interesting one, because I don't know how they are going to use it. So this one, when I see it, actually, I think that's pretty possible that it's an actual screen of a battlefield. I'm pretty confident they can use it. It's not that crazy to think that it could be a screen of a battlefield, but it's really gorgeous. This one is more. It's more reminding me of the Suikoden 3 with the. I'm very sorry because I'm very tired. That's not an excuse, but this village with the knights who are riding this kind of cockroach,
Yes,
giant cockroaches.
insects.
Yeah,
Hmm.
insects.
It it was the clan. some I don't remember which one of the 5 clans in the grasslands. Yeah, I see.
And Bikart is also mentioning in the chat that
Hmm.
he's telling us this makes me think that you can see monsters and attack them to fight, which is an interesting feature as well. What they are going to, it's not that clear, but what they are going to choose. Do you have to go and avoid, or on the contrary provoke your foes? Do you actually have to wait in the classical sense the random battle to come to you, and just have this kind of switching screen, etc. So
Yeah.
that's not, or maybe both. We don't know. I don't know what they are looking
Both,
for.
yes. It's not clear from the screenshot we see. It could be a setup just for the promotional material. It could be the direction they go for. I must say, I'm also a big fan of Chrono Trigger, and if they go that direction with enemies that are present on the map and you can choose to engage and get an advantage if you hit them like other RPGs have gone for, I would much prefer that because random spawning of enemies is not necessarily a fun mechanic, all in all.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of information, but we are not done with you. Actually, one announcement where I think that's where we get the least of information. But if you are not aware of it, it's the game soundtrack. If you have good memories of the first Suikoden, you know that Miki Higashino, she was not alone, because if you are not aware of it, at Konami there was this huge group named the Konami Kokehai Music, which was this. Actually, that's why it's very. It's so hard for the people working on music in video games, because the big companies at the time was always, having this kind of big groups and big bands inside
Hmm.
of the company, so it's very hard to know who works on which game, or
Hmm.
even which specific track. So you have
Yeah.
to, it's driving crazy, and even when you get the information, you have to be almost very talented and have a good ear to know, okay, this one is sounding like that, so I'm presuming that it's etc. So it's just some kind of trivia I'm giving you, so you have an idea. For now, what we know, so at the time it was mostly Miki Higashino, and then a few others composers who came after her. It's going to be Michiko Naruke, which is famous for working on the Wild Arms series. It's not that strange, I would say, because Wild Arms is I think it's sharing the same kind of destiny as Suikoden. It's an RPG
Yeah.
that for the not, if you are not a die-hard JRPG fan, you have heard of Wild Arms, but you're not you never played, or just played maybe to try it. So that's funny that Wild Arms is pretty close from the Suikoden series at some point.
Hmm.
And it's also close for other series such as the Lunars, and there are many games. The only other RPGs and action RPG who had a great aura and success, maybe it was the Grandia series, which is the only other one who met success with the audience outside of Japan. So
Hmm.
Michiko Naruke working on the Wild Arm series, and a great name was dropping. It's actually Motoi Sakuraba. Motoi
Yes.
Sakuraba, yeah, I'm hearing you saying yes. Maybe you can tell us what you love about his works, or the series you like about him.
Well, Motoi Sakuraba worked with, if memory serves well, worked with Nobuo Uematsu
Yes.
on Chrono Trigger, which is my favorite game ever. And it was a fantastic collaboration that they had together. And so,
Was
yes,
wasn't
Sakuraba worked on several other games with a very rich, colorful soundtrack, even though I can't for the life of me remember other series that he worked on. So I hope you can save me from
yeah.
this
No.
delicate situation.
No problem. Maybe from the most famous one, there is of course the Star Ocean is pretty famous
Yes.
also for the series of the Tales of, and my
Mm.
personal and most favorite one is actually the work is done on Batten Kaitos, which is one of my favorite RPGs of all time.
Mhm.
So it was GameCube JRPGs, and he was also working on the I'm losing the name, Valkyrie Profile as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. With
Uh,
Atreus, yes. So, as far as I'm concerned, you have two famous big names in Japanese music, video
mm,
game music composition, and that's Nobuo Uematsu and Motoi Sakuraba. They are the most successful or most recognizable ones. Um, back from the 90s, and
mm,
it's a great opportunity, and it's a great chance for the game that they have him help them. So I'm guessing he won't be doing all of the composition, but he might do the theme of the game, which will be very important because it will influence the tone and the
mm.
quality of the rest of the work, and it will give
Yeah.
inspiration to the others. And I'm sure it's going to be another great piece of music from Motoi Sakuaba.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm just having. I'm pretty sure. I didn't want to interrupt that. Sakuraba wasn't working on the Chrono Trigger. Maybe you are confusing with Mitsuda, Yasunori Mitsuda, which actually worked with.
Yes. Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was
You
not sure, but
No,
I wanted to
you're
confirm with you.
quite right.
Okay,
You're
okay,
quite right.
okay.
It
It
was
was
my bad.
no, no,
Mhm.
no problem. It was just to be sure. Okay, so we covered the music. The
Yep.
press
We have.
release also is telling us that they are finishing this line, telling us Michiko Naruke, Motoi Sakuraba, and among other artists. So we are not. It's a
Mhm.
possibility that maybe they have some
Other
guests.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm.
I think that if you want to make a kind of tribute, maybe to they can negotiate probably at least one track coming from Miki Higashino. I'm pretty sure the fans are
Mhm.
craving for this kind of tribute. And speaking of tribute, we have Tony on the chat
Yes, I was
asking
about to
us.
bring that.
Yes, asking us if there is any possibility that we can see any linkage or continuation of the characters from Suikoden 1-2 series. Yeah, I think we all sincerely hope so, but um, there are two things. My heart as a fan would say yes, but at the same time, I'm following Yoshitaka Murayama when he's saying he has not said it actually in interviews, but is making us feel that it's a new project. So I think that there is going to be some kind of tribute. Probably, he was mentioning in an interview that there is going to be some kind of funny characters with mentions of some kind of bits of humorous bits. Probably it will be some references, but uh, actually, I don't think they're
Some
going to
sort of
put a
Easter
lot of
egg.
them.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry. What do you think of it, Magus?
Yeah, I on the one hand, I would love to have a continuation and an apparition of a series favorites like Jeanne or Vicky
Yeah,
or other
Ronnie
characters.
Bell.
but on the other hand, I understand that they want to move forward, and it's probably best not to feature those characters directly, and so they can pay homage or maybe make a reference, like in a book or in a picture somewhere in a house. You can see images or references to characters from the Suikoden series. That would be great. But also on the other hand, there's the business side of things, and it's that Konami holds the copyright for the whole of the IP from the Suikoden series, and I don't think that they would have access to that. And so, as far as I'm concerned, it's unlikely that we will see direct apparition of characters from the Suikoden saga. But as I said, I would love it.
Same here, but we'll see. Maybe Tony.